Warning: the Not Real Art podcast is intended for creative audiences only. The Not Real Art podcast celebrates creativity and creative culture worldwide. It contains material that is fresh, fun and inspiring and is not suitable for boring old art snobs. Now, let's get started and enjoy the show.
Greetings and salutations, my creative brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Not Real Art podcast, where we celebrate creative culture and the artists who make it. I'm your host, Sourdough, coming to you from Crew West Studio in Los Angeles. Man, do we have a cool program for you all today. I have no doubt you will learn, grow, and be inspired by today's show. Before we get into our main event, I want to thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to like this episode and subscribe. Your likes and follows help ensure you won't miss any of our new shows, and it makes the algorithm gods happy, which helps us. So thanks for that. Also, be sure to visit our website, notrealart.com. Sign up for our newsletter to keep your finger on the pulse of everything we're doing here at Not Real Art for artists and art lovers. A lot of great stuff there. On the website, you'll get free educational videos. You can sign up for our artist grant for the chance to receive $2,000. You can buy affordable original and contemporary art through our partnership with Sugar Press. And you can become a supporter through Patreon if you want. So be sure to check out our website today for all the good, healthy stuff we got for you. All right, guys, for today's show, I got to set a vibe. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah, so I wanted to set the vibe, this vibe in particular, because today we got the one and only Ghetto Gepetto, the one and only creator of Hoodland, Hoodfoot, the one and only Roy Miles is here with us today. Creator of the Biddies. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you, the dopest among you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, you better know. You better figure it out. Better do your research. Ghetto Gepetto, people. Hoodfoot, Roy Miles. These beats are even his. You know, these are some lo-fi beats. You know, if I had it in me, I'd practice my whack-ass raps as he has instructed. I just don't have it in me. But I tell you what, Roy's got it in him. Love this guy. One of a kind. Beautiful human. Creative genius. A Swiss Army knife, people. A Swiss Army knife. A box full of tools. Toolbox? Definitely got a killer toolbox. Let's get into this. Let's make it happen. And here, from the one and only Roy Miles, a.k.a. Ghetto Gepetto. Roy Miles, welcome to the Not Real Art podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Dude, this is long overdue. I feel like I owe you an apology. Like, you should have been like one of the first.
Nah, man. You get it when you get it. And greater later, other rhyming things that are true.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see you. So, I mean, there's so much to cover. I mean, and, obviously, when people hear this podcast, I will have done a good job of introing you and pumping you up, and they'll know that you are the one and only Ghetto Palmetto, the creator of Hoodfoot, on, multiple toys, all the good stuff.
Ghetto Gepetto. Ghetto
Yeah, I'm
Palmetto
sorry.
sounds
Well,
good.
yeah, that's another
That's
guy.
a new one. That's
right.
Paletto.
I'll get it right in the intro. But you're just prolific as hell. I mean, you've got so many things, irons in the fire and stuff, and you're a family man. And, I think you got a full-time gig too in advertising, right?
Yeah, I'm a motion designer, animator for an ad agency. So yeah, I'm doing that all the time as well. Yeah.
So is that how you ended up in the ER a few weeks ago? Like you just worked yourself to the bone?
You know what happened in the ER? I had a weird thing, man. I had a twitch in my face. And I was like, a few years ago, maybe about 6 years ago, I had a Bell palsy, which is a viral thing that happens to your nerves. And you've probably seen people with it. People out there probably definitely heard of it. And I had heard of it. I had a student who had it before, and I panicked immediately. I thought it was a stroke. And so my wife took me to the hospital that time, and the doctor was like, "You're just having a Bell palsy, take this. And I worked through it, and it was all fine. I can move my face, all that stuff is fine. So I'm sitting in the studio here, and the same thing happened again. And I was like, oh, let me hit my wife, tell her what's going down. And like, she's faster than an ambulance. Before I even could even think, she was out in front of my studio, like, come out right now, boom, lock, got there. And they were like, it's not a Bell palsy, it's not a stroke. They did all kind of heart tests and everything. What it was is I had raised potassium levels, which were really bad. I have a kidney issue. So the medication that I had been on for like high blood pressure, that had caused the potassium to go up. So it wasn't anything I was doing. And I was working with a doctor, and the doctor was like, had told me months before, like, hey, man, you got high potassium levels. Let's get it down. So I had actually changed my diet, and nothing had been working. And really watching it, So there I was, like, they weren't going to let me leave until they got stuff down. So and found out the real problem, because all my numbers, everything else were great. But that one thing was all bad. And that could have been on its way to a heart attack, because that's what it can cause. So had I not paid attention to my body, had I just been a dude and been like, oh, don't trip, it's just a tingle. Mind you, by the time I got to the hospital, it was already gone. So I could have told my wife, don't trip, I'm fine, we're tripping. But I'm an old man, so I know better. So I was
got you beat, baby. I got you beat.
I was like, we're at the hospital. I'm going in the hospital. You might as well check everything. Check the oil, check the fluids,
Totally.
Check the wipers. Let's get it all done, head to toe.
Is that the first time you've ever had to call 911 and get yourself over to the ER?
No, it wasn't 911. So I just called my wife, and so she did it. She was fast.
Oh, okay. She took you over.
Yeah. She showed
got
up.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't call 911 or anything like that. And,
okay.
If there's an emergency, I call my wife.
Right. Smart man. Because, in the healthcare biz, like if you have a near mortal kind of event or heart attack or whatever in the business, they call that a life event.
Well, this one ended up not being a life event.
Yeah, good.
We just need to get this down, and we're not going to let you leave until we get it down. Luckily, you spotted it. So this is really early spotting. That's why I tell all the homies, man, like, pay attention, bro. And I had this conversation with Man One actually right afterwards, because he was like, oh, I take a medication too. And if you look at my Instagram or any of my social media, I don't post stuff about myself necessarily. It's all my work. I may put things about my wife and kids up there, but that's it. Like, none of my personal stuff is up there. My work is personal, so that's enough as far as I'm concerned. But I felt like it was a teachable moment. Like, how many dudes do you know that feel some ache or some weird pain and just let it go, and then they're gone? You go, man, that dude didn't even pay attention. So I was like, you know what? I got a lot of homies out there that are probably in a similar situation and don't even know it. I had seen another friend of mine who was a cinematographer just in the hospital, who's at the peak of health, and just like a few days earlier had a similar experience because of another problem. So I was just like, man, I got to let folks know this shit, you got to pay attention.
It doesn't get more real than that. It's funny because I remember I had a similar thing happen a few years back. I was at home, I was working, doing my thing, and man, all of a sudden I started like getting this like weird feeling in my right arm, and I started feeling dizzy. And of course, I did the next thing I did, which was the absolute worst thing you could do, which is I went on Google, and I started searching. Yeah. Oh shit! Get straight to the ER because you could be having a heart attack or stroke or whatever.
Is your will intact? That's the first thing it says.
So I called Uber because I was like, well, because my wife was like, she was MIA. I don't even know where she was. And I didn't want to call 911. So I called Uber. I get over to Cedar Sinai over here and I check it. I'm like, yeah, I'm having this thing and da 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 da. And they're like, okay, well, have a seat. So like I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting. And then, 4 hours and multiple tests later and a $10,000 bill later. Right. The doctor, they find nothing. Everything's fine. And then the doctor says to me, he says, well, have you done anything unusual lately? And I said, well, actually, I guess the thing that I've done that's like most unusual lately is that yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it was, I went to a chiropractor for the first time. And he goes, well, there's your problem. He goes, you can't feel your arm and your arm is tingling because the chiropractor adjusted you in this crazy way and you're just feeling like that,
Right.
So anyway, it was one of those things though, but it was scary, man. When you think you might fucking die, it's scary.
You're like, man, I didn't even finish Game of Thrones and now I gotta die.
Oh man,
trying to work my way through.
I know, right? I know. Well, brother, I'm glad you're good, man. I'm glad, it's like, we're dads, right? We got to stick around for our kids. Although I think your kids are a bit older than mine, right? How old are your kids?
They're 15 and 17, but
yeah,
they're still babies to me.
Yeah, of course.
In my mind's eye, and when we have conversations, they're definitely, teenagers. Being a dad is amazing. Having 2 daughters changed my life in ways like it's a whole nother show for you. Yeah, man, it's great. I love being a dad. I love being a husband. It's cool.
How was Father's Day? I mean, that was just 2 days ago. We're recording this 2 days after Father's Day.
Father's Day is cool. I don't really care about stuff like that. I care about, they woke me up actually Saturday morning and gave me presents and stuff. And they had this whole thing planned at a restaurant. And I was like, man, no, we're done. We'll cook dinner. My wife and I will cook dinner. No big deal. For Mother's Day, I do try to go all out, but I like to be in the studio. I like to work on my stuff. And I also like to watch a lot of movies and stuff. So they just gave me space to watch my crazy movies that I wanted to watch that weekend. And no one said, what is this? This is weird.
Right.
They just left me alone. That was the biggest. I think most dads said, just leave a brother alone. Let me do my thing. So that was cool.
Right.
Plus, they actually went out of town on Father's Day. I drove to the airport.
Oh, you drove who? Oh, you drove them to the airport.
Yep. I was like, all right, bye.
See ya. Where'd they go? Where'd they fly off to?
I think they went down to Palm Springs, as a matter of fact, to chill. So
wow,
people are traveling again and all that stuff. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, man.
I'm such a city boy, like going to deserts and things of that nature. If I'm not on a film crew or doing research for a project, I'd rather not.
Well, I hear you and I get it, but it's also even more like complicated right now. I mean, I had to fly back east the other day for some stuff and it was the longest day I've had having to wear a mask, because like I had to wear a mask in the Uber from Encino to LAX. And then I had to wear a mask, of course, all through LAX and then a 5-hour flight, to the East Coast. And traveling is not a lot of fun right now. I'm sorry.
No.
It's not a lot of fun.
We've had some video shoots during the pandemic, towards the middle to now, probably 6 shoots. And some of them were grueling, like 15, 16-hour days where we had the masks on all day. And, we had COVID compliance officers and spray downs and mask switch outs and anything you can imagine, But we did it. We made it through it. But yeah, I'm not excited to be on the airplane, that's for sure.
For me, myself, and I just was like, you know what? Like I like my house. Why leave it?
That's how I'm like. I like this studio. Look at all this stuff.
Yeah. So speaking of the studio, brother, like what is happening in the studio right now? What is the latest? I saw you've got like a YouTube thing happening now with the YouTube channel, which by the way, you need to post some more videos. What's popping in the studio?
So what's happening right now with the studio and the YouTube channel is like, so now that we are sort of like through the haze of the pandemic and people can get together and do things, I am now bringing my crew back together to shoot more. Everything you've seen on Instagram, everything you've seen there, even on that video highlight clip I have, I made all that stuff 100% by myself. I shot it all. When you see multiple characters, when you see like multiple costumes, that's all me in this studio. I've been working on some longer format stuff, and it's getting longer as I create stuff. And so we'll be posting that stuff. Right now, I just want to get at least a couple hundred people signed up. So to placate my ego, I want to make sure that you can go to YouTube/Hoodland instead of YouTube/ some weird number.
Yeah,
they
right.
won't allow you to do it unless you have over 100.
I know.
Yeah. You know, hey, that's their rules. And the channel's only been up for 3 weeks. We've been slowly getting the amount of numbers. It's a marketing thing, man. I think about every aspect. So it's not just, like creating the channel, and it's not just making the content, but it's like, it's easier for me to say YouTube/Hoodland. It's also easier for me to make that a messageable thing. Working in advertising, I've learned a lot. I have to have a call to action that's not clunky and easy it has to be easy to digest. I mean, my name is the Ghetto Gepetto, and people hear that, unless they say Palmetto, they tend not to forget that, Hoodfoot, Hoodland, all this stuff.
I'm sure you've been called worse though. Just to...
Oh man, if somebody calls me Troy, is worse. You know what I'm saying? People call me Miles. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, no.
My name is Roy. It's like, so it's 3 letters, bro. Like, there's not many names.
How can you fuck that up? That I won't fuck up.
Yeah. People call me Ray, Troy, like all kind of weird stuff. But it's cool. It's cool.
That's funny.
So just making more stuff. I've been like building tiny little sets and lighting little scenarios. I'm trying to do. It's a hybrid. So it's the puppets, but it's also the mascots. It's also 2D animated characters. There's a little bit of stop motion now. I'm not on anybody's schedule also. Like I'm going to create the stuff within my means while I'm doing it, and have the luxury because of the pandemic to do things alone and make it happen that way. The proof of concept I'm making now for the channel that'll continue on, it's pretty cool. And if somebody sees it and wants to get down and, finance more stuff and we can bring in more people, it's great. I love that. It's a Voltron, like keep adding parts and make it a bigger robot. So
what I love about it is just, it's clearly a passion project with just so much love and blood, sweat, and tears, right? And, all that. But you're just so damn creative and funny and smart. Like, I mean, you have, you're like a Swiss Army knife, you know what I mean? Like a lot of artists, God bless them, they're a switchblade, they do one thing like really well, you're a Swiss Army knife, man. You got all the tools right there.
Tools is the key word, man. I spent the last 2 decades or more, like just trying to tell better stories and get better tools and do what I can to learn more things. And even out of school, when I was a professor and a course director in college, and I was constantly learning stuff. I tried to stay around younger folks who know things that I don't know, so that I could get that stuff in my tool belt and toolbox and pick out the right thing for the right execution of the idea. And it's kind of free flowing too. I'm trying to create this stuff in a non-corporate way. So like I board things differently, and I use the old school method of making gags, especially for this format, this Instagram and TikTok and this sort of thing. It's like people don't want to see a whole crazy beginning, middle, end. They just want to see a thing that they can keep on, because your thing is living with other things. So when people are viewing your work through, let's say, Instagram, they just saw somebody else's thing, and they're going to see someone else's thing after yours as they scroll through. And if they give you the honor of pausing on your thing to watch it, give them something that they can take away, and then they're going to go away. And hopefully that sticks with them. But that dope thing they saw, maybe because of their aesthetic or their taste, it matches the other dope thing that they're with, and it becomes a part of their whole vibe. So that's what we're trying to do. I always say we. It's all me.
I do the same thing, man. I say we all the time. People are like, so when you say we, who else are you talking about? Well, me. Yeah.
And I do have a team of folks that I work with.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to work as close together, but there's business partners. And, when you met me at Designer Con, those were, you met my father. So like, my dad will come in and my brother will come in, my business partner will come in and put on the suit if I make a Like, I know you can't act, and I know you stiff, but just stand here and do what I say while I wear this other thing, and then I'll switch out and we can come back and I'll comp them together and then it'll be cool, so let's do that.
I feel like we have to cue Family Affair right now,
Yeah, it's 100% a family affair. And you know what? I get that from Ray Harryhausen, of all places. I got a chance to meet Ray Harryhausen. Those of you who don't know out there, he was the king of stop motion animation, Sinbad and all these cool movies you probably saw when you were a kid. If not, you got bad parents. But
and you're probably in therapy.
Yeah, probably in therapy. And I got to meet him in the early 2000s and hang out with him for a weekend, actually, quite a long time. It was many times where it was just he and I, or the two of us and his wife, so like I really got to grill him. And then, one thing that stuck out, one of the millions of things that stuck out is that, he was the animator, right, for all those effect shots and all that stuff he did in all those movies. Also the producer of the best movies he made, also put the art together to sell those movies, but also his mother made costumes for him when he was doing some of the stuff, made the costumes for the dolls. His dad made the armatures for the dolls. His wife helped his mother. They built the sets together. And that stuff was all happening in this fucking garage. And you watch some of these movies, those little animations that happen in those movies were happening in that man's garage. Even Journey to the Center of the Earth, they fight a crab, I think. And that's a crab that they ate the meat out of. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real crab that they took the shell. You know what I'm saying? So like everybody was involved at their level, and it became not just the most influential thing before Star Wars, but also like just some of the grandest work ever made, period. So like it doesn't take a giant studio to make hella shit. Of course you want to have that backing, but that comes with a lot of politics and a lot of chefs in the kitchen, So if you want to create work that is at a level and at the same time make it personal, it's easier when you have the folks that love you around you. And it doesn't have to be family, by the way. It could be just, you can create a family.
Right. And yeah, but it's like those constraints, right? I mean, it feels like sometimes nothing's worse than a blank check for a creative or an artist because,
there has to be limitations. You want the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
the ingenuity, the innovation comes from that scarcity,
Right. I love problem solving. On one of the cartoons, there's like a 1.5 second shot of my character, the nerdy boombox, that he's eating cereal while the other character's talking. But he is just a wooden sculpture. So I said, okay, how can I do this? So I said, okay, we're going to animate his arms. We're going to have cartoon arms. That's cool. How's he going to move the cartoon spoon? But he's going to have, I really wanted a real cereal bowl. So I was like, oh, you know what? Let's see how I can make a real cereal bowl move with, and make the cereal really move. What kind of contraption can I set up here and put it all together? Even the cereal, I actually grabbed the cereal. I kept the cereal in a bag over here in case I ever need to use it. I use like 7 different cereals to get all blue cereal. I wanted every blue, Lucky Charms, Fruit Loop, every purple, every green. So I have bags of cereal separated into little color coordination because I said, this is going to be in a completely purple cereal, only purple. So my kids are in the kitchen with me like, why are you doing this? I'm like, just get those crunch berries, separate them. I'm going to find every green charm of this damn rainbow, Lucky Charms. Just keep doing it. So like, it was a fun thing to do. And literally on screen, even though it was like 2 days of like sourcing stuff and figuring it out and building plans for a pulley system with fishing line and all this stuff, it's just a second, like 2 seconds in the whole thing. But it brings it to life. And it's exactly what they would have did without any digital technology in the first place. It's like, all right, we want a ghost. We're going to use a little invisible string, So I end up, and I'm shooting that stuff by myself. So that's fun. But like I said, now I'm taking my time and I'm making certain type of stuff for Instagram and different stuff for YouTube. And as I'm starting to explore TikTok, because my daughters are like big into that, I'll be making different content for that stuff as well. And I'm starting to bring other cats in to help me do some stuff as well. Like, so we can.
Well, the kind of Yeah, I mean, the point you're getting at is this whole, it's like the old saying, horses for courses. I mean, at the end of the day, Instagram is its own kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to optimize for that culture, for that, experience, and TikTok and Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Like, you've got to create the product that really works in that environment.
Right. And also I pride myself on like delivering stuff for my audience, the people that graciously started following me. And I talk to a ton of people every day because people always want to know stuff about the characters. And there's people that have conversations with Hoodfoot through his his Instagram. They're not talking to me; they're talking to him. I appreciate that. I appreciate that level, and I get so many people reaching out. But also, like, I'm constantly like, this is a bot deleting, checking on the people that are following me and seeing like. So my numbers are low because they could be much higher. I've definitely like erased maybe 1,200 followers that I felt like these people aren't even real people. Like something's going on here. Maybe because I put crypto zoo in a thing, and so like a bunch of fake crypto Bitcoin people will be following me and just or stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'd rather have engaged audience than super high numbers.
Totally, man. Quality over quantity,
Quality over quantity.
That's it, and you do want that. You want people that want to be there, really.
They want to engage and they love what you're doing. And, it helps on every side. When you're selling merchandise and you're selling your art, why try to talk to a bunch of people that aren't engaged in the first place, right? You want to go straight to those people that are down, that are waiting for that shit.
You mentioned crypto just a second ago. Like, obviously, there's so much to catch up on. I mean, shit, we could talk about the pandemic. We could talk about, politics. We talk about all kinds of stuff. But let's talk crypto. This whole NFT thing has been a hot topic in recent weeks and months. What say you on this hot topic of the NFT?
It got hot really quick, right? All of a sudden, that's all everybody was talking about. Actually, quite a while ago, someone had come to me and was like, you should do this with your characters. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then maybe 6 months later, it was like super popping. I studied it sort of early on. And what I saw was like, as these bigger things were happening, soon as cats start selling like millions of dollars worth of stuff, every artist I know like started running up that hill. And I don't do that, bro. Like I said before, I'm not on anybody's schedule. If NFTs are going to work and be here for the long run, which I believe they will, it doesn't matter when you get involved in it, right? It's like art itself. Like, doesn't matter when you get involved in trying to become a professional artist. It doesn't matter. What matters is the work, always the work. So like I see NFTs being sold, but they look like garbage and they're weird, and they're weird for weird sake, not for art's sake. Some of the artists involved are super dope, but for the most part, they all just look like the same shit to me. When I do it, I will do it integrated with other things, and it'll be at the level of what I've done already. I've got some ideas. I've talked to some people. Also, there's that blockchain thing with the environment and transactions that can destroy the planet Earth. I think it would be ironic that art is here to save us all. And if that's the thing that, because artists are finally going to get fucking paid for every transaction that happens with their art, all of a sudden they destroy the earth. That's weird too. So there's a philosophical level there that I don't think the technology is there yet. I think there is, people are saying that there are some new networks popping up and there's some ecologically friendly things that are happening, and let that shit happen, and then I'll jump in. And now I'm not saying like if somebody partners and it's a good idea and a good deal for me to do it, I'll definitely consider it. But right now, I'm doing this. This is a lot. I'm doing I'm doing a lot of stuff. When I did the toys, I didn't do the toys because everybody's doing toys right now. I did it because nobody was doing it. When I'm doing these puppets and mascots, I didn't do this shit because everybody's doing it. I did it because nobody was doing it. The next thing I do, which I'm not going to say here what it is,
Oh, come on, man. Break the news here right now. Come on.
Not at all. Nobody's doing that either. And I'm not doing it for doing that sake, but it's just my ideas come, and I sometimes don't have an example in head of me of someone else doing it. And it doesn't scare me. It intrigues me. It makes me get excited, especially, being a Black man in this art space is art space, film space, television space, animation space, earth space, it's always a rougher road. So I tend to like do the stuff that is like, you might as well do what you want to do and do it how you want to do it, because there's already roadblocks. So fuck it, make what you're gonna make. But as far as NFTs and stuff, yeah, that's cool. I love it. I hope everybody gets rich artists. I've never heard of such a thing.
Well, what struck me about it was that, it shined a light on, yet again, right, the hunger that artists have to get paid,
Get paid. No, it's sad.
And it was like, wait a minute, like everybody, they thought it was a silver bullet. And there's a lot of cool things about NFTs, the smart contract being one, in terms of making commissions or royalties into perpetuity on secondary sales. Like, I think that's amazing, right? For me, it'll be interesting to see, to what extent that maybe pressures, shall we say, the physical art world and the traditional galleries to start figuring out the auction houses and what have you, to figure out how artists get paid on these secondary sales and stuff.
I would love that more.
Right? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Way more, because you know what? Also, NFTs are exclusionary, right? How many artists do you know that don't use computers, that aren't on social media, that deal with the gallery system, the museum system, higher learning? They lease their artwork to corporations. That, I've met many artists that I didn't even know you could do art like that until I met these folks. And you see, they taught me how to catalog my work and how to, keep tabs on your work. And those people make money off their work already. So like, what does that do to those folks? Or the folks that, like I said, just don't use digital. Not everybody's digital. Not everybody can make something that everybody's want to put value on in a digital marketplace,
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's like, it was very interesting how the NFT market very quickly reflected the traditional market, because suddenly, it was a digital marketplace. So suddenly it already favored digital artists right from the get-go. And then,
Right.
Of course, if you didn't have the hookup with the right marketplace, whether it was Nifty Gateway or whatever it was, if you didn't get invited in, you weren't in. And it also favored artists and celebrities with a big following. So it was already set up as this like exclusion. It was not egalitarian.
There's always, like, if there's gatekeepers, I'm always weary. This is a brand new thing. And all of a sudden there's already branded folks that are like looked at as the leaders in the market. I'm like, how is that possible?
Right,
how are you the leader of some new shit? Shit just started. How are you the guys, the leading people? Shouldn't there, and if it's for artists, shouldn't artists be the folks setting the rules and the hierarchy of this shit? And why does it have to be the most popular artist? And popular to who? And popular where? If that was the case, why isn't fucking Cause in charge? And should Cause do that? Why should he do that? They make 90-foot statues of his shit. He's in the fucking Macy's parade. Maybe artists like that need to chill and let artists that don't do anything. Maybe this is not for y'all. Maybe it's not for the dudes that are already hyper successful and selling millions of dollars of shit already. Maybe.
Yeah, no, it's super fascinating. Listen, I hope, right, for artists' sake, that the shit gets leveled out and regulated on a certain level and more democratized, because the smart contract aspect of it is awesome. The blockchain decentralized nature of that is awesome, just because it's, seemingly more secure or whatever. But there are, real issues, whether it's the carbon energy footprint of it all, or whether it's the fact that, whether it's display, like how do you display these things once you own them? But my issue from the get-go was like, this isn't the silver bullet that you guys think it is, because the fundamental issue isn't the technology or even the smart contract. The issue is demand or lack of demand. There's plenty of art in the world for people to buy. The problem is there's not enough people buying art. So,
right.
How do you grow demand? How do we stoke demand?
And how you change the perception of value to what we do, not just the creation, but our time and our talent. To quantify that stuff is difficult. There's another side of this. We can talk about this. I'm an artist that is for hire occasionally, because people have reached out to me to like hey, can you make this for us? I'm constantly battling people on how much I believe I should be paid versus what they are wanting to pay. And I've had corporations, like big old companies, ask me to make stuff for them, like network IDs and stuff like that. One company asked me to do that for their streaming service. Can you make some bumpers and some little spots with your characters? My intellectual property, stuff I put all my time and money into. They offered me $250 for a 30-second spot. Actually, 3 10-second spots. And I'm like, you're aware that I work in advertising? I'm a filmmaker. Are you aware that, I was just like, oh, okay. Well, let me tell you how much a commercial costs for that type of network. Just so you'll know, it's insulting as hell. And that's the stuff I'd rather work on than NFTs. Is like, I designed this stuff to be likable and marketable, this particular project. So merchandise and things of that nature are built into the model of what I'm doing right now. So when someone comes with an offer and it's just insulting, you think about, well, if they came to you like this, who did they come to that may not be as savvy, that may not know better? Who did they get this stuff from? Like, I'm aware how much it even costs to have a meeting with somebody at a corporation, right? All those people are salaried. Like, there's a quantifiable budget for the time you spend at those meetings. So like, more than $250 was spent just to ask me to do it for $250. Right? And it wasn't spent on me. So yeah, man, that's the type of stuff, you deal with as an artist, that really, like, independence really, it's a double-edged sword, It's scary world out there.
It's tough, and it's always been tough as an artist and in the arts, but it's also, if you look at the economy even more broadly, just the whole gig economy thing. Like, I mean, good luck fucking finding a full-time job that pays you a decent wage and gives you health benefits. I mean, that used to be fairly common, and now it's the exception.
Yeah. And it's also like, what does that work do for you? I think the pandemic showed a lot of people that maybe that isn't what you want to do with your life. Maybe having to sit in the same space for a year and deal with your family on a different level and deal with your friends and extended family in a different level, and not being able to access some of those people, that becomes way more important than all the time you spent at the office and all the time you spent working on some shit you don't even care about.
Here's what I believe, because I mean, even for those of us like you and me who have been lucky enough, really, and blessed enough to enjoy the work that we do, like, as creatives, as people,
right.
I'm gonna guess that you and I are very similar in that, for the most part, our careers, like, we've really enjoyed our work, right? Generally
we love
speaking,
this
right?
Stuff, right?
Well, yeah, and but even us, I'm convinced that the last thing that either one of us are gonna want, on our deathbed, as we are like pondering our life, is like, more time to work. You know what I mean? It's like, no, when you're laying there thinking about your life, you're going to wish you'd spent more time with your kids and your family and your this and your that.
Right.
The last thing you're going to want to, think about is a fucking meeting that you wish you had.
Yeah. If I had more time, I could just take more Zoom calls.
But I think that's like the part of the value, at least, I mean, obviously the pandemic hit everybody differently and it was all very personal, whatever. But I mean, for many people, hopefully it was an opportunity to reevaluate and say, no, you know what? This is more important. My family's more important. With my wife and I, for example, we ended up having dinner, with the kids every night.
How cool is
that? For
that?
a fucking year. It was amazing. We put the kids down to bed every night. It was amazing.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah. And it's like, now I got to go back to work. I got to give that up.
Right. Like, you don't want
to.
No. And for me, we've been taking a lot of meetings about that sort of stuff, and like, really, like, well, we see our studio can run from our homes. So we have meetings. Actually, we've done more work now than we have the previous years. It's a different kind of work. Maybe we don't have to be there every day. And everybody's sort of agreeing, like, yeah, fuck that. You don't have to be there every day. 2 days. Especially I go into San Francisco from Oakland. Yeah. Gross. That's gross. I was already grossed out before the disease that, started spreading. There was a bunch of diseases I was already freaked out by. So
yeah, man.
it's pretty
Yeah.
creepy.
See, these are crazy times, man. These are crazy times, Were you able to stay healthy? I mean, you didn't get COVID or anything, right? Do you know anybody
Not
that
at
got
all.
it?
I do know some folks that had it. I know some older folks that are like friends of friends, like their grandparents. I know folks that passed away from it. But also, our circle was pretty tight. I didn't get it. Now, I do believe that my wife and daughters had it before the announcement, like maybe in February-ish, where they got so sick. And people in my team got super sick after traveling for a shoot. I didn't get sick at all. Never felt sick, never had a whole thing. But they got terribly sick, way worse than a normal flu, way longer than a normal flu. And it really kicked their asses. But then they all came through it. But now we all got vaccinated, by the way. My wife works for Kaiser, so she was able to get vaccinated pretty early because she works with physicians. So it's just like, yeah, I've seen some pretty bad stuff, but yeah, we got lucky, I guess, that we didn't catch anything, and but we're pretty cautious. I remember right when the lockdown happened, and we were all in the car and got out of the car, and I hear someone coughing in the night. We live in a neighborhood where motherfuckers walk around. People could be from anywhere walking around there. And I looked at the kids, and they looked at me, and they were like, I was like, Lily, take the keys. She's the fastest. She hit the door, and they were like, it was like a horror movie. The cough was getting closer. We were like, open the door.
It's coming for us. It's coming.
And just as we all got in, I looked out the window. It was just some hacky dude. And I was like, yeah, bro, this is scary as hell. He might have just had emphysema.
I mean, we didn't know what it was. I mean, in the early days, like it could have been any. And listen,
that was March. So I was just like, holy shit. We ease back. But we've all had this experience, like you'd be out somewhere at a grocery store or something, and then all of a sudden someone would be like, and you're like, take a step back.
Yeah.
Like, you start counting. That's not 6. I'm gonna do 16 feet.
Exactly.
I'm going back in my car.
Matter of fact, let me just back up out of here because
yeah. We don't have cereal for dinner, guys.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. I mean, we knew a few people, that had it. I know some people that had family that actually passed away from it, which, super sad. So, but that being said, I mean, because obviously the tragedy for some people was all too real. But if you know a little bit of history about these pandemics and what have you, it's like, I'm just grateful it wasn't any worse. Because, I mean, shit, it could have been tens of millions dead, 30, 40, 50, 100 million dead.
Yeah, it could be way more.
So we have that to look forward to. Right.
Yeah. In those times where it did happen on that level, there's never been a world with this sort of communication network here. Right. So like we can spread the message of danger within a minute. The world will know. So I think that's a big part of it. And I think the fact that the countries are able to come to a consensus as far as locking their own borders and all that sort of stuff and restricting travel, and it could have been worse. And then you see in some places it is worse because they kind of had a laissez-faire attitude or maybe didn't have the infrastructure. A million reasons. We don't even have to go into all that. Let's not talk about the pandemic anymore.
I was going to segue right there because I was going to, because earlier we were talking about constraints, and obviously the pandemic, whatnot, was a huge constraint on artists. And, you talked about, the fact that you had to shift and pivot how you work because you couldn't get the crew together to do what you might have done. Talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you pivot? How did you adjust creatively?
Creatively, I just, the first month, well, it was a letdown for sure. Part of it, like I was coming to see you, as a matter of fact, like the conference was coming. I had I'm not even tell you what I had planned because it was going to be special and different and new. And I was like, he has no idea what I'm about to do. And this is so fucking great. I was so excited to do that. So that was a letdown. And then I was also going to be filming what would have been like, I keep saying it's a pilot, but it's really a proof of concept. It's not like a 15-minute thing. It's just going to be a few minutes, you know. I was putting money into that. And then, you know, I had some other fun stuff planned to do with other people's podcasts and stuff like that. And all that stuff sort of went out the window. And after that month or so, I just said, well, I got these puppets here. Maybe one of these puppets can tell people to wear a mask. So that was probably one of the first videos I did, like just sitting here like, okay. And I was like, oh, I could probably, well, the hardware store's still open. I can get a little backdrop. I'll do this. And I started building stuff and making more puppets. And, you know, I work with my newer puppets. I commissioned those with a puppet artist. So I can take that out of my lap, which is way more expensive, but way better, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like allocation of time and, you know.
Totally. You'd love doing it, but man, you not get anything else done for a minute. You know?
2 of the puppets I made I didn't do that before. So that shit took like a year and a half. Now I work with someone that can do it fairly quickly because they're a professional. And you know, as a filmmaker, you learn that your job as a director and producer is to fill those roles with the best possible person. So I've been blessed to have those sort of people get involved recently. So I just commissioned another puppet and just said, fuck it, man. I'm just going to start making little stuff and see what I can do. One thing that came out of it is a lot of those videos you see on there, you see me in the videos sometimes because I became a character in it myself, you know, just because of necessity. Of like, okay, well, they got to talk to somebody. If I'm going to tell the story, okay, I'll be involved and progress. And it's sort of, I just workshop every day. You know, I get to, even if I spend just an hour or so on it, or sometimes I get to spend all night on it, all weekend on it, you know, so, and during the day here and there, if I'm not doing this, I'll go do that. So I try not to ever have too much downtime while working on stuff. And I'm able to make a few things happen at a time, you know. And like I said, some of the stuff is like, I'll be outside and I see a thing happening, I'll film it. And I'll keep it in the archive like, oh, it would be cool if this happened. Okay. And I'll either have them react to it or put them on a green screen or blue screen and got a better camera, you know, just things that happen, you know. And I never, like, people like look for inspiration and stuff like that. I never do that. I never have to, you know. It's the opposite. I think of something new every day. It's annoying as fuck. Like in the shower, I get out of the shower and I come to my wife. Yeah. I'm like, hey, man, you know, it would be cool. I think I want it. She's like, oh, you better shut up. So
yeah, like, man, you know, it's funny because I turned 51 this year, and part of what I'm grappling with just as I get older, you know, hopefully I got 20, 30 years, healthy years left. Who knows? I just have to come to grips with the fact that there will be tons of shit that I don't get done that I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, right. You just kind of got to be like, yeah, well, I got more ideas than time, you know, and money.
Right. Right. And the money is the real thing. Time is, you know, quantifiably worth more. Right. But also, like, yeah, that time I was telling someone else the other day, it's like that, all my time doesn't belong to me, you know, like a big chunk of my time belongs to my family. And then I rent out some of my time to my profession. So like my actual time is limited for sure. So I tend to always be putting something towards what I'm doing in that time. And, you know, just for the folks out there, man, if you are doing a thumbnail sketch for your thing or writing down a sentence of dialogue, you've done something. You don't have to do this whole, I'm going to bust out 3,000 pages, 3,000 words, or I'm going to do. If that's cool for you, do it. But let the challenge be just that you did something, you know. And we know as artists, we're always doing something because we're always thinking about the thing. Because, like we said before, it's always problem solving, right? Like either it's like how I'm going to paint this nose, or what kind of paint, or what color paint, or what kind of paint, and how many layers of paint before I do this, and is this paint dry? You know, like every part.
Oh
of
no,
art,
it's not.
Like, oh shit, I fucked up. All this stuff is going towards it. So even the mental part of it, where you're like workshopping the idea inside your head, throwing something together in After Effects doesn't take me a long time, but to get all the assets to make it, that takes a while sometimes. You know, I've laughed many times with my man. This took me 2 weeks to get all this material, and it took me an hour and a half to put it together, and another hour, then it's on the internet. Like it took, like that was a long time, and people are like, "Oh, this is great." I'm like, "Yeah, see you in another 2 weeks." And some things I'm challenging myself now, like to do something that only takes 2 hours versus always be working on the bigger thing that's more of a production style thing.
Yeah. So, music plays a big role in, what you do as well. Like, are you a DJ as well? Like, who do you collaborate with in terms of when you think about music?
So a friend of mine, Ian Davis, he goes by ID. I met him through the music industry. At the time, when I met him, he was A&R at the Hieroglyphics record label, Hiero Imperium, and I was making a movie for them, a road movie. And so we were planning this big tour, and I met this guy. I was like, "This guy's cool, man. He knows a lot of stuff. He likes the stuff I like. I know everybody in Hieroglyphics already, so this is like something new. He knows a ton of people in the music industry." We started collecting beats. He knows a lot of producers he's worked with for Cat's albums, and I know a lot of artists as well. And so between us, when I was younger in the 90s and early 90s and stuff, we were a DJ crew and all that type of stuff, but I would never call myself a DJ. So we worked with a producer. There's a producer, J-Zone, Cash Martin, my man Derek Reeves, who goes by Montero. I've known him for decades. ID himself has provided some beats. I mean, we got beats from so many cats. There's some music that was also made exclusively for that. Did I give you one of the CDs when I met you? Like with all those?
I did. Yeah, no, I have it. You are with me like 5 feet away, 4 feet away at all times. So yes, I'm hooked up.
I appreciate that, man, so much. Like that's incredible to me.
Man, I appreciate you, man. I mean, this is awesome. This is so much love in here, man.
We are making some new toys. There are more toys coming for sure. Not just Hoodland stuff, but like some other Ghetto Gepetto products that are like, my original toy, the Biddies, and some other stuff like that. We're looking at that stuff again.
But your boy, getting back to the music, like so you work with him pretty much like he's your guy.
Yeah, he's like my partner in crime. We work together not just on this, but on pretty much everything we make. And I like having I sort of have a council of homies that, depending on what their skill level is and what they do, I send out work to those cats all the time. Like I'll say, check this out. Some of it's just like, just to hear what other people think without having to expose it to the universe yet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
People I've known for 30 plus years. And then there's cats that in the 21st century I've met, and I consider their opinion like very valuable. So I'll send stuff to them as well. Folks come and, I met somebody the other day that said they wanted to give me a beat, and I listened to the beats, and one of them was incredible. So I used it. I didn't have no money. They didn't want no money. And, there's no money. But, here's the thing, man. There's always a jump off when there is money. There is a budget. And then I just go back to those same people and make sure they get paid. I've worked with McDonald's and Def Jam, with my previous toys. And we've done some pretty big sort of licensing stuff with those characters. So I always bring my folks back in to work on the stuff, like, oh, there's a check. So y'all come quick. Y'all come quick.
Right. Well, because I mean, you want to work with the right people, whether there's money or not. And
take care of those people that took care of
That's
me.
right. That's right. Exactly.
Which we know, you and I know, that's not always the case, right? Folks will leave their folks in the dust to move to the next level. And it says a lot about those folks, because it says, like, who were you surrounding yourself with previous? Why aren't they good enough to move forward with you? Why were you hanging out with them in the first place? So some relationships become transactional or based on like what they think they get from you down the road. And then other stuff is just pure love. They love what you're doing. You love them. They get involved. And hopefully the work is the benefit, right? Like completing the work and the project, if you love it and you did everything you could to make it pop, that's it. So anything else is a reward that's outside of that, like people buying it, people listening to it, people collecting it. That's the cherry, right? But the real thing is making the fucking thing. I feel so accomplished when I make something. Like I feel great. And I feel like, shit, let's do it. Let's make something else again. Let's make something else.
Yep.
But with the music, I love music. I've been involved with music, since I was a kid, basically. So it's an integral part, but it's also like, you probably see one clip with the characters rapping, but it's not really about rapping.
Yeah, right.
It's really about like hood life, and how I grew up and what my surroundings are then and now. And there's lessons there. I always have like a little lesson, even if you don't get it. It's cool because it's also cute and funny, So
right.
people can approach. I think the best artwork is when people can approach it at their level, and if they get something out that they weren't expecting, then they've leveled up. And so now they know when next time they come and look at your work, they can look harder at it. My work looks like candy. It looks edible.
I want to eat it.
You want to eat it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You want to.
It's very appetizing.
You want those characters on your lunchbox. You want all that shit. You want to, but also like, what are they talking about? What are they saying? And if you're from, a lot of folks aren't from like where I'm from, the kind of environment I grew up in. So it's like, it's a love letter to that, but it's also like letting you peep game. Like, yo, this is how folks act. And maybe you see things that happen, but it's not necessarily what you think is happening.
Right.
And I've traveled around the world, and I've been, I've always had, I always say I'm from Oakland, and I'm always repping Oakland. And the perceived notion of it out in the world sort of sometimes is scary to me. So like, I get upset. So I kind of let it be known that it's a cool place. It's also, it's America. So yeah, this is fucked up shit happening here. But it's a beautiful place. You were here, so you know what's popping.
But I love O-Town. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's the best.
It's awesome. I used to be up there a couple times a week.
Yeah. So like you were in the music scene too. Like, were you in the DJing scene yourself, or what were?
No, you mean in terms of what brought me to Oakland, or just
like,
music in general?
In general, like when you were younger.
Yeah. No, I came up playing music. My family, I mean, that was our thing. I mean, the very musical family, singing. A lot of my mom's a singer. My sister's actually a professional gospel singer, and so we grew up with the music lessons and all that. I took to alto saxophone and studied jazz and classical music at a pretty high level. Yeah, it was cool. It was great, but I mean, it was interesting because, yeah, man. I mean, looking back, I guess, I fucked up because I kind of got burnt out, and I sort of hung up the horn at about 20. And because for whatever reason, like back in the Midwest where I'm from, because I was born in Gary, Indiana, and I grew up outside Chicago. But at that time, it was kind of like, well, you were either good enough to like perform, like go, like you were going to perform, or you were going to be a teacher. Like that seemed to be the only two options, And that's so fucked up because like I could have been gigging around town just for fun, but nobody that wasn't even an option. So music and, many of my friends several of my friends are professional musicians and performers now still after all these years. And so, yeah, and I produced, some stuff, whatever.
That's amazing, right? I have friends that I've known since high school that are still professional musicians. That's what they do, and I'm like, man, you've been doing this shit since you were 16. Like, I'm not talking about folks that live in these crazy mansions or no shit like that, or people like you go, oh yeah, I know exactly who that is. It's just like folks that have been singing and gigging and
working, gigging musicians.
Sometimes they teach music, private lessons, and they do corporate gigs, but they keep doing it, and that's where I spend so much of my time trying to learn the skills I learned so that no matter what I'm doing, I'm using those skills, So like, oh yeah, I'll work on your commercial because these are the exact same tools I'm using to work on my stuff. I love that. I love that. That's how I eat. You know what I'm saying? That's how I get my clothes. It's a rare and wonderful thing. And music was early for me as well. I got lucky because a teacher was like, you can sing. You should do this. So I went to high school. I was in every choir. I got to go to Japan with the Oakland Youth Chorus. I performed in every operetta, every musical. That was a good time for me, but it also showed me like, yo, the world is really big.
Yeah.
You can go out and see it. For the most part, the only thing that's going to stop you is money. And So go get that and go do that.
Well, in mindset, it's funny because I grew up 40 miles outside Chicago. It's an hour train ride along Lake Michigan shore from where I grew up right into downtown. And I know people that I grew up with that never been to Chicago.
Shit,
Are
I know
you
people
fucking kidding me?
here in Oakland that haven't been to San Francisco.
That's what I'm saying.
And when I was younger, when I said I'm going to San Francisco, they'd be like, "Are you crazy? Oh, you going to cross that bridge?" I'm like, "Actually, I'm going to get on the train. You going to go under the water?" I'm like, "Man, it's literally, I can see it from my house, bruh. Like, what are you talking about?"
You just stay on the block and I'm gonna go under the water.
What's crazy is I had a job right out of high school, probably when I was like 19, 20, and I got a supervisory position. And it was like a place that was like a temp agency, basically. But I did so well that I worked every day. And it was through the convention industry. So, like, if there was a convention in town at the Moscone Center or any of those other places in San Francisco, hotels, and it's a big industry. So there was always a show to work at every day. There was never like a in-between time. I brought in maybe 20 cats all together to do like the most menial stuff. But like, I was like, you do this, bro, you won't have to do that, that other thing. And I know for a fact, dudes got to do things and see things and know about things that they didn't know about dental conventions and that, like they didn't know about surgical conventions, especially like there was Apple World, and all these
like the tech conferences
and stuff. I had the homies up in there and they were like, "Man, you see this computer that can do it?" And I know all these cats now, the cats that are still around, like they do that stuff now. They know all about all those computers. They work in the computer industry or they do other things. And it's because we were like, "Fuck it, man, let's just go over there." So like leaving the city just to go to the next city changed those cats' lives, So the folks that do stay on the block, man, it's awful. Doesn't matter. That's what Hoodfoot is, a dude that has never left the block. Their world is just those few blocks that they inhabit. And that's it.
That's a good segue into something that I did want to talk to you about. In all candor, I've been wanting to collaborate with you for a long time, which is why, I wanted to get you at the conference last year. And of course, that didn't work out. But, one of the things I was thinking about, like if, Hoodfoot came to life in the context of a podcast, right? Like, what would that look like? Like, what would that be? So that was one thing I wanted to talk to you about. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that I'm at this place now with the podcast because I love doing this. It's so much fun. But quite frankly, I want to find other people that are good on the mic too, that could also be hosts on the podcast. And so I don't know if you have any interest in being a host of a podcast. But if you do, I would love to talk to you about taking the mic over from time to time, making it the Roy Miles show. So there are two things that I want to talk to you about.
Okay, well, we're always open. We're open for business, that's for sure. What would the Hoodfoot podcast be like? It would be weird, that's for sure. So there's that. I won't say too much about that, but yeah, we can talk offline about that for sure.
Let's do that. Let's talk offline.
I've been doing a lot of podcasts recently. Shit, man. Last week, I probably did 5 different shows. There's nothing I like more than talking.
You're good at it. So, well, listen, I like to share the love with my fellow podcasters. So shout out to those podcasts that you were on because we want to make sure people know about it.
Yeah. And, the best thing to do, man, is just follow me on Instagram. I'm always posting stuff there. As a matter of fact, when I get off with you, I'm going to post a new video. So there you go. That I made last night. Which by the time people hear this, they would have already saw it and it's already there. But yeah, and I'm just doing, it's fun right now, man. I'm just having as much fun as I can with this. Yeah. Got some new stuff going, got some great music. I got some new music partners and not just music. So I brought in some folks, not as just musicians that are known as musicians, but I just like the way they talk, honestly. So Merce is now on board. He's a good friend of mine. Dell has been involved. Dell, the Funky Homo Sapien, has been involved for a while. now that the pandemic's subsided for a moment, we'll be getting back into the studio and doing some other stuff. So I have some other beautiful things happening that'll be funny and stupid at the same time.
My favorite combination.
Yeah. Stupid funny. But yeah, that's it, man. And just, other than that, I just been living life and, watching cartoons and watching movies and horror movies, doing all the other stuff I like to do and collecting toys. Make it happen rapping is my motto, which I don't rap.
I love it, bro.
Well, I tell you what, you've made me a happy man today, taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down and chop it up. It's an honor to have you on, long overdue. It's just, I'm just grateful that you and the family are healthy and happy after what has been a crazy year and a half. Well, let's keep talking. Let's figure some of this stuff out, because I think we need to explore some of these avenues.
For sure. And there's a wide world of possibilities for us and everyone out there listening.
Indeed. So before we sign off, tell everybody where they can find you.
Go to Instagram, type in the words Ghetto Gepetto, Ghetto Gepetto, and then you'll see my smiling face, sort of. And then go ahead and follow me. And then from there, you can also find in my bio, there's a link to my YouTube channel where we'll be posting more stuff soon. And gradually, as the things ease up here, we'll be producing at a faster, higher, more frequent level. And there you go. You can always send me a text.
You're going to hear people right here.
Yeah, a DM if you have something weird to say. I'll listen.
Yeah, you're quick on the DMs, man. I gotta say, you're like the fastest DM in the West or something.
Oh yeah, man. I figured if you're gonna take the time to send me a message, I'll take that 3 seconds. This is something we know, bro. In 2021, if you text somebody, they fucking saw that text. This is not 1987 when you call somebody. I wonder if they got my call. And you see them, hey man, did you get my? No, man, I didn't get it. And that was believable. Like they did.
Right.
Because of technology, it's possible you didn't get my call. 2021, you on too much shit, bro. I see a motherfucker on Facebook, then I see him on Instagram, then I see him, you know what I mean? They talking back and forth. You send them a message, it's crickets. I'm like, did this motherfucker just ghost me? I see you posting right now. You are putting a reply on a Facebook video on Facebook. I'm also replying on. I see you talking. For the most part, I will hit you back. Unless, people have been hitting me recently with some requests. And, just because of my artist nature, I try not to respond to requests without really taking a breath first and really either some of them are ridiculous or some of them are just like, okay, listen, person. Yes, I do cartoons, if that's the question you just asked. Do I do cartoons? Yes, I do cartoons.
Thank you for asking. And do you have a budget? Yes or no?
I do make cartoons. Do you?
Exposure only, is it?
Yeah, I'm done with all that. I'm going to turn 50 in August. So
Happy birthday, brother. Welcome to the club.
Right here, bro. We know all the same shit, all the same references, all the same movies, all the same albums.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, I got a couple of boys that 2 divorces later, they think they're going to settle and finally find happiness with the woman that's, 10, 15, 20 years younger. I'm like, dude, you'll be on your 3rd divorce.
She's going to ask you, why are you watching this Ghostbusters thing? It's not even funny. You're going to be like, ah! What do you mean it's not funny?
Question for you. Who was the original singer of Van Halen? Sammy Hagar? No, you're way too young. Get the fuck out of here.
Never heard of him.
Oh, who is he? Who is Van Halen? Ooh, man. Yeah. You just had an anniversary. Is that correct?
June 11th. We did. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah.
You got a beautiful family. You're, everything. So how long have you guys been together?
Thanks, brother. Thanks for all that. We met in 1999. We've been together. How many years is that? Shit.
22 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've been with my wife since 1990.
How'd you guys meet?
Long time. We actually met in 1984 in junior high school.
Tell me that story. We got time.
Yeah,
How'd you meet?
I met my wife in junior high school. I saw her in a music class, and she was playing the piano for the teacher, and I was like, what a fucking nerd. If the teacher asked me to do anything, I'd be like, hell no, I ain't gonna play no piano for you, bud. She was playing the piano, take it from the top. I was like, what a kiss up. What kind of people are these? And then later on, she was just sort of funny to me. We always joked around. We became sort of part of the same clique of friends. And, all through junior high school, we were just friends, when you go, some of the people, if you remember way back in your day, you go to a different school, you're down a different grade and your friends change and motherfuckers don't even fuck with you no more. Like people that used to be your best folks, you just sort of wave at across the playground now or whatever, the yard. Yeah. And then you get a new group of people. That happens, But she's one of the people, especially with me, the girls changed, like they were going for different type of dudes. And I was definitely a strange person. So all of a sudden, Gretchen was always, that's her name, Gretchen. She was always cool, always. She was changing. I was changing. We were turning into different people. Yeah. But I'd see her all the time and be like, hey, what's up? And we'd always have the same vibe, they call it.
Yes, yes.
So the energy was always the same. So eventually, we went to the senior ball thing together and we never went out with anybody else.
That's awesome, man. That's such a cool story.
We both got lucky because we checked that list off. We don't have to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah.
Now all we have to do is deal with this just each other.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's like, and I have a couple friends that married their high school sweethearts and they're still together. I mean, it's amazing. It's beautiful.
Being in a classroom together and knowing all the things that were happening, even if it's on a surface, you may not know what was going on in people's homes or in their hearts, but you were all sort of experiencing at the same time in the same place. There's a connection there. And the younger you are, the more, the deeper the connection as the years go by. And you just look back and be like, oh yeah, Gretchen was there. Oh yeah, she remembers I used to do. Oh, she knows, like my youngest daughter, Lily, was like kind of upset that you guys have known each other so long. Like she's in junior high school or in high school now. And she's like, you guys knew each other when I was in this grade. And I was like, that's right. You remember that. On this side of the house, we got history. On that side of the house, you know what I'm saying? You don't clean that room, you may not have much history left. Like your story can be short. Our story is already long. You know what I'm saying? You better do what we say.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, what a beautiful example to set, but it's also like, I can imagine, like you set the bar very high, it's like, can I clear that? It's like,
but it just always seemed like this is the thing, I don't know for most people, but for us, once we settled into each other, we just got into a groove of being who we were,
Yeah. Right.
I know I didn't have to front in front of her. I didn't have to act like a different cat. And she didn't have to act like a different person either. And we never have. So then from there, we built our own language of friendship, and our likes and stuff evolved into each other's likes. Shit, I didn't give a damn about no damn CCR. I didn't care about no damn Eagles. You know what I'm saying? Like,
didn't have to.
I do now.
Yeah.
Because that's what she was sort of into. But we were both into hip hop. Yeah. We were both super into Eric B. and Rakim and EPMD. So we had that. But
this idea though that you guys, this idea that you guys are rooted, like your relationship is rooted in friendship. I mean, you were friends first, right? And that is such an important point when when my wife and I, Channing, when she and I met, I was living in Chicago with every reason to stay right there because I had a great life. And she was here in LA. And, you know, all my boys back in Chicago were like, dude, why are you wasting your time? It's not going to last. You know, these long distance relationships don't last. But it's exactly why it did work.
Right. You were always communicating.
That's right. We had to talk every day, you know, and we just got to know each other.
And you're not taking that time for granted because you know you don't have that much time. You got all this stuff to do. And you're purposely carving out that time to spend with that person, even if it's on the phone. And it means a lot. And the conversations get deeper, you know. I was thinking about like when you're a kid, remember you said, your ear get hot using that damn phone so much. You know, like what the hell was y'all talking about?
Exactly right.
But you were really, those people were everything, right? And having someone listen and listening to someone else, having that person have somebody to listen to is the biggest thing. And honestly, with any relationship, whomever you're with, if you're not listening to that person, it's never going to work.
No.
It's never going to work. It's never going to work. And people will tell you, if somebody asks you how your day was, it's because they want you to know how their day was.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. It's not just a polite thing they're saying.
No.
So I go, well, what happened today? What was popping? Did you do your damn thing or no? What's happening? But I'm not the best husband ever made. That's, you know, like I'm just trying to do my thing. But, you know, I think we're one of the best couples ever.
It's
because
right?
we're always, you know, getting each other's back and, you know, we argue and stuff, but that's people. That's more so.
That's to be expected. These people that have these like unrealistic expectations, what the truth is, you know.
What the truth is, how tall they want the person to be, you know, when they, you know, can they, it's all this grocery list of shit you want from somebody. And for me, I never had it because I was too young and also just wanted a friend. And she was a friend. And then beyond that, we became who we were. So that's all you can really ask. I was talking to a dude the other day. I didn't even know him. People come up and talk to me. So I listen.
People are drawn to you.
People walk up to me and just start talking. Like, so if you hang out with me, just know that some strange motherfucker is going to walk up. I don't know what they see. And they're like, I see you got that antenna that certain people can only see this fucking antenna. We're talking about relationships all of a sudden with this stranger. And he was giving me real game, you know, like what was the biggest thing he told me? He was just like, you know, I forgot what he said now. It just slipped out of my mind now that we're talking about it. So it wasn't so great. It'll pop back in my head.
The game was so good you can't remember.
The game was but he did. It'll pop back in my head. I'm sorry. As I said before, I'm an old man. But yeah,
welcome to your 50s.
Yeah, I was just talking about this with someone else, like just love and relationships, and it's wonderful, man. But
I love that strangers gravitate to you, though, and just want to tell you shit.
Bro, I just walked to the liquor store before here to get this bottle of water, and the dude, I've only been in this particular liquor store like 3 times, but he talks to me like he knows me from. He goes, "Hey, my brother." I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "You know, I'm not going to charge you the 75 cents for the use the card." No. And he starts doing all this stuff. He's like, "You and me, we go way back." I was like, "We do?" Because I've been in this store 3 times in my life. And he was just like, "You are my friend for life, and I would never charge you 75 cents. I was like, "All right, but I don't know who you think I am, but yeah, I'm fucking with you."
That's a brilliant spin on customer service. You know what I mean? Just like,
I hope he says this to everybody. I hope that what happened was the Check X or the card company was like, "We got a deal, man. You get people to use your card. We're not going to charge you the 75 cents for it. And you can give that to every customer this month." And they're like, "Man, this motherfucker don't even charge a fee on the thing. Oh, man, I'm fucking with him." That's my liquor store customer voice.
This inspires me. What was that movie? Was it Clerks?
Clerks? Where they had the store?
What was it? About the black and white movie, old boys movie with the 2 guys.
Kevin Smith's movie, I assure you, anyway, we are open is the sign they would put up.
Right. The story that you just told me sort of inspires me that like somebody needs to come out with a sequel or a version that could just called Liquor Store. And it's, it's like
all the shit that goes down.
All the shit that goes down in a liquor store,
Bro, I had this one, as an artist or a young person even, you just get some shitty gigs to make ends meet, And I had a gig where I had to go into liquor stores and change their signage for cigarette ads. They're like, "Oh, you're an art. Art. You could do these posters." And I was like, "That's not art. These is coupons." But I'm gonna do it. And so I literally went to every liquor store in the East Bay. Like, my territory was from Richmond all the way down to Newark. That's a big area, and I'd have a chunk of a city I'd have to do that day, like drop in on 50 stores. I got to see some shit, bro. I saw some stuff in these liquor stores. I'm like, who do you call if somebody's got a rocket? Are y'all supposed to have a rocket, bro? I saw some shit back there, bro. Like, was I supposed to see that? Also, people who rob liquor stores, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about robbing a liquor store, don't do that, bro. They got some shit behind that counter. And some of these people want you to rob them because they want to test out this new machete or this spray shotgun.
They want to use this rocket launcher.
They want to use this rocket launcher on you, the grenade launcher, bro. They've been itching for somebody to take some gum so they can launch an interballistic continental missile at their ass and, and turn them into glass. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. I'm like, these are swords. Part of the job was to go behind I was like, you got a sword? Goddamn, bro. Who comes in here?
Wait, what's a guillotine doing back here?
Yeah, like
we're going to catch a motherfucker and chop his head off.
We have an Iron Maiden. They shove you in the box.
Yeah, right. Oh, my God.
That's Clay. Yeah, you could write a book, just have a podcast called Liquor Store. It's just all the stores.
All this shit I've seen.
I don't have, any real good liquor stories. Although I've been in plenty, I just don't have very many good stories. But I do remember we used to have this video. We were bouncing around Chicago one day. My buddy had a video camera, and this was back in the day when actually video camera was a pretty luxurious high-tech thing, man. I was like, oh shit, somebody's got a video camera. So we went around and we were just shooting shit, and we were standing on the corner. I think it was Wabash and Van Buren or something. There was a liquor store there. I don't know who this guy was. I don't know if he was homeless. I don't know what his story was. He looked a little rough. He comes out the liquor store and he's got one of those big bottles of Mad Dog, one of the big bottles. And I say to my buddy, I said, man, you got to get this. So anyway, so he starts filming, and the dude just walks to the street corner, cracks the bottle, puts the bottle to his lip, and we had the video of him just drinking the whole bottle in one. Never took it off his mouth. Just go. That's
that get right.
It's like, holy shit.
You had to get right, bro.
Yeah, man. He was thirsty.
He had to get right. Yeah, they call it, that's the doctor's medicine. He had to get that shit cracking, boy. Yeah, man, I can only imagine how his liver was treating him.
I ain't gonna judge. I'm on my third liver. Yeah.
Ooh-wee. That's scary stuff. You had a liver operation?
Oh no, I was making a bad joke. I shouldn't kid about such serious things. Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
there's a market for all.
They're hard to get, I hear.
Yeah, I heard. Depends what part of the internet you're on. Yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in these little stores. And that's circles right back to Hoodfoot and his friends, because there's a lot of that sort of stuff happening.
Great source material.
Just listening is, like any other storyteller, you listen to other people's stories. Hopefully things happen to you as well. So
yeah.
And always be ready. The thing I'm putting up today happened because I was in a parking lot this morning.
Oh, wow.
I was putting my coffee in the car, and I sat down in the car, and I saw the thing happening, and I was like, just get up and go film that thing. Just get up, put your coffee back down, go film that thing, and then when you get to the studio, when you're working on other stuff, either today you'll come up with an idea with that thing, or tomorrow you will, and then, or never, but at least you took that moment to do it. for me, like filming stuff and making sure I frame it up and making it good is the equivalent of jotting down an idea, just like, oh, and we've got so many cool technologies now, man. You got all these apps. You can spitball something and work it out real quick on your phone and go on about your business. And then look at it later. I use one of these Adobe programs where I draw something and on a piece of paper and scan it, and when I go back to my studio, it's already open in Illustrator.
Wow.
That's awesome. It's like, I couldn't imagine anything like that before, and that frees me up too. Because sometimes in that heat of the moment,
we kind of don't have an excuse now. I mean, there are no excuses, right?
Zero excuses. Yeah, because even that program, even though you got to have an Adobe subscription and all that shit, but you can get it at your level. You know what I'm saying? So like, oh, I'm a student, perfect, because I got a student rate.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
No,
I'm a constant. I'm a lifelong learner.
You know what I mean? Like, so I've told many students of mine, I'm like, well, when you get out of school and you don't want to buy this program, just enroll in a course at a JC, whether you do it or not, so that you have a student status and that you can get discounts on all this shit.
Totally.
And if it's a class, be smart. Take a figure drawing class. Like, you can never have enough figure drawing classes, dog. Just go do that. You don't have to be
so smart
learning anything or getting the best grade. You are learning something. Plus, you're getting a discount for that fucking software. And you were going to draw anyway.
Yep. Yeah. Right. You were going to draw anyway. I mean, this is called a win-win-win. Yeah.
Also, drawing with other people sharpens your sword, Being in the classroom. A lot of people are like, oh, should my kid go to school? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you can learn so much online. I'm like, yeah, you can learn. Hell, you can learn anything online right now. But what you can't get is a future film crew or a future collaborator.
Right.
With the motherfucker sitting right next to you.
Yeah.
When they make you do those, especially film school, like when you do these projects where everybody has to be involved, you get to learn how to work. When I went to film school, the head of the first day, they were like, be nice, because the person sitting next to you could be running a studio and you want them to green light your project and you were an asshole back in high school or back in college. And now your career is fucked up because you were a jerk thing. And so that's been my number one rule in life is be nice. That's it.
Be nice, baby.
Just
that's
be nice.
It.
It don't cost anything.
Oh, you're right, man. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to smile, but and be nice and hold the door for somebody and not be an asshole.
I'm totally about civil society.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm down with civil unrest too. So just don't get it twisted, people.
Yeah, no, exactly. When you got
just like regular old shit, like you see somebody come and hold the door open for your player partner, like just they don't even have to say thank you. Just do it.
Yeah.
Go through life not doing anything to get a reward. Just do it because you do it.
That's right. Just do it because it's the right fucking thing to do.
Say excuse me. Just regular people shit. And it's okay to be like, that person's an asshole. They didn't hold the door for me. Like, you don't have to be a thing that people walk over. Somebody's throw rug, but you do your part. That's one thing my pops did. Like, he modeled like the idea of like, if you see someone that needs something, like a help or whatever, if it's something easy, I'll just fucking stop and do it.
Yeah, man.
There was a car broke down here in front of this, on my corner here, and I was walking through the store, and I was like, they got out and they're trying to push. This is the blackest thing that can happen, by the way. There's some brothers that broke down. I'm walking. They were young cats. They jumped out. There's a car wash across the street, and the OG brother I saw, and we all ran to, like 4 people ran to that car and started pushing it. And they got it going, and they was like, oh, we got it going. And we all just turned around and kept moving. That shit don't happen in white neighborhoods.
No.
They'll see that like,
we just keep driving.
Move your shit.
Oh, they have AAA.
Yeah, move your shit. Get a new car.
Yeah.
But here they was like, because everybody knows in this neighborhood, everybody probably experienced some shit like that where they're like, damn, I wish somebody had helped. And I think that's a thing you got to just do in life. Like, what if that's you that spilled all your groceries? What if that's you who lost your purse? What if that's you who don't know how to fix a flat tire or change a tire? Jump in. Just jump in real quick, bro.
And you get some great stories that way too. I mean, you know, like you meet people, you have great stories. And I remember I flew into Oakland. This was a few years ago. I flew into Oakland and I walked out to the curb to wait for my ride. And I go to walk the curb and I look down and there's a cell phone that somebody had dropped, you know, just right there. Right. So without thinking twice about it, of course, I picked it up and I looked at the most recent call. Like I just wanted to see and the most recent call was to wife. It just said wife. Right. And so I said, well, I'm going to call the wife, tell her what's up, you know? So I hit the call button. It rings once and I hear, hey. And I said, before you continue, this isn't your husband.
Before you say something crazy.
Yeah, but before you say the next thing.
Hold that thought.
Clearly they had a good morning before he left, you know, and I was like, I found your husband's phone. Just want to get it back to him. You know, oh my God, that's so kind. Da, 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 da. And, you know, long story short, I got the phone to him. But, you know, it's like that made my day. Like
it's like, I was my wife and I saw it like this is many years ago. We were driving through Piedmont, which is a part of Oakland, and we saw a car drive by like around us super fast, like they were running from somebody. And then the police, so we kind of pull over. Mm-hmm. And then we saw that the car in front of them, the police kept going, but they had thrown a purse out. So somebody had jacked somebody's purse and like the police were in pursuit. So we pulled over and picked up the purse, and there was a woman's stuff still in there, like her ID and like they didn't get the stuff that they wanted, you know? And so we went through everything, found her. This is the pre-internet accessibility. This is in the early 90s when this happened. Yeah. And we got it and got in touch with a friend of hers through her phone book, and they got in touch with her, and she ended up coming to my house. She was so rude. She was so sure that we had something to do with this. And she's like, I guess you want a reward. I was like, no, we just didn't want you not to have your regularized purse. You know, so you never know what people are going to do. But I felt like we felt like true detectives. You know, back in the day when you're trying to contact somebody, it's not just like, I got their name and that don't mean shit, bro. You got to do, like I said, it's not the internet. Like, so we had to do some work, calling people, going through the books. Oh no, I haven't talked to her in years. Like, shit. Okay, keep going. I think I found her sister in the book. Like, this is her sister right here. Okay. Yeah. I've seen that happen. I've been involved in a few of those sort of like, hey, here's your shit. You know, other people have been like, oh my God, did you save my life? But you just get to meet a weird random person that's, you know, either got robbed or just not very careful.
The stories, it's like, it's karma, right? I mean, you're sort of investing in, I'm remembering, you know, back in Chicago, you know, in the 90s, walking down the street and there was just a fucking wallet, laying there, you know, and driver's license, there was cash in there, you know, driver's license, you know, some woman from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And to your point, there's no phone number on there, you know, and I just took it, I packaged it up, mailed it back. You know, I figure someday I'm going to lose my wallet. Maybe this will come back, you know.
It is karma, man. I had steaks delivered to my house one time. You know, remember Omaha steaks? A big ass box. How the hell
did you get it?
A big ass box got delivered to my house. And I opened it up. I was like, it had dry ice and shit. I was like, honey, did you order lobster tails and hella steaks? Like, you a boss. She was like, no. And I looked, I was like, this is not for us. Like, I thought somebody gifted to us. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess nobody I know is generous because this ain't ours. They don't know that it got delivered to my house.
Right.
This could be dinner.
You could eat.
I could put the shit on the grill right now. But by the time they figure it out, you can't have it back. It's part of me now.
It's gone.
We ate it. But I figured out, I was like, this is a block over. This is the same house number, but it's a different street. So I got it, went to these people's house. I said, they're going to be juiced when they get these steaks, blood. No, they weren't even there. But I left it on their porch. They have no idea that I was about to eat their steaks. I drive by that house all the time. I'm like,
you only knew.
If you just opened the door, you would have been like, come in and eat. And I think somebody in their family had just sent them that stuff, so they didn't even know it was coming. Yeah. The moral of the story is be nice, man. I think my time is coming up here.
Yeah, I guess. Wow, 2-hour block, man. We had some fun. I love it.
I feel like we barely even scratched the surface.
We did. We only scratched the surface, which is why you got to come back, which is why we got to talk about us doing some stuff together. So I tell you what, we're gonna sign off.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Miles, Mr. Roy Miles, creator of Hoodfoot, for blessing us with your intelligence and your character and your creativity today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to like this episode, write a review, and share with your friends on social. And if you haven't already done so, please press the subscribe button and follow us on Instagram at NotRealArtWorld.